fans, and welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast. My name is Dane from Clarkey's Rugby League column, your co-host, and I'm joined every week by Blaze from BKRsport. Blazy boy, another week for the club where we didn't quite get the chockies, but can't really fault the effort, man. It was a good effort, wasn't it?
Mate, we are back for another week. Hey, I got him. Yeah. I got a good pun in some. I'm playing the Kiwis this week, and I will be over there in Whakatane tomorrow. Keen as, man. But look, obviously we didn't get the chocolates against the Manly Seagulls. Again, think it was controversial, but at the end of the day, we still lost, and we gave it everything we could, man. You know, we scored 30 points. Unfortunately, we still lost 34-30, but at the end of the day, we keep on rocking and rolling, man. We keep on doing our thing. We keep on being as positive as we possibly can, and it's coming. You know, as I said to you in Canberra, and I'll say to you again this week, it is starting to come together. We just obviously need to fix the defense and really, lock down a large part of our game still. But it is starting to click a lot more than we were seeing against the Bulldogs, against the Dragons, against the Dolphins and whatnot, man. So, yeah, look, positive signs. Obviously, we lose again. But that moment we win, man, I tell you what, I reckon all Titans fans are getting naked.
I'm not too sure about the last part. I don't want to know who. I don't know who you messaged in there, but hopefully nothing too sneaky going on off to the left of camera there. Look, guys, a few housekeeping rules. Like, subscribe, follow wherever you listen or watch, please. It all helps grow our podcast, grow our community, and we can keep producing the best possible podcast we can every single week. Please get involved in the comments section here on YouTube or via the Phone the Frontline section, where you can leave an audio message for us to react to at the end of every show. The link to do that is www.speakpipe.com/Titans Frontline Podcast. That link is also in the show's description if you are interested. Blaze, let's jump straight into our Titans news. First up, Corey Parker says there's rumours that he hears Jahrome Hughes wants to return to Queensland. I would never have messaged Jahrome something silly to see if, I know why you're laughing. Look, guys, it's not going to happen. It was a silly rumour by Corey Parker. Jahrome Hughes has come out and said he's home in Melbourne. He's not interested. And his manager has come out and said, we're actually in talks to re-sign past 2026 with Melbourne. So we can write that one off. But one we probably can talk about, Blaze, is Jonah Pezzett, who has replaced Cameron Munster at times this year for the Storm. Now, we did reportedly approach him and see if he was interested in coming. I think there was a little bit of a media sort of beat up where they added a bit of GST to it, saying he turned down more money to stay with the Storm. That shows where the Titans are at. And screw the papers, whatever. That is what it is. But Jonah Pezzett, is he a player that realistically you would have liked for us to have got, or that you'd like for us to pursue in the future again?
Look, I think in regards to, firstly, the Jahrome Hughes one, Clarkey definitely did not message him anything quite comical in regards to giving him some added benefits to try and elude him to come. But yeah,
third-party deals.
Third-party deals, exactly right. They weren't associated with the club. Before you come down as NRL committee, everyone please relax. It was just a little side thing for Clarkey. But no, obviously that one's not going to be happening. It would be great. Obviously, he's a proven, premiership-winning halfback. And I really want to also quash a lot of things in regards to Jahrome Hughes. Hughes wouldn't have become the player he's become today if he had stayed with the Gold Coast Titans when he was younger. Firstly, he was actually a fullback, I believe, coming through the system, right? So Jahrome Hughes was a fullback. He then there was a few things I feel that weren't really kind of in line with the club at the time. He then went to the Cowboys. Same thing happened there. And then he's now at the Storm and obviously has absolutely flourished as a player. So, enough of this kind of... it's not even... I wouldn't necessarily say it's nonsense because he did play with us and we did let him go. But there was a reason for that. And again, he would not have become the same player he is today, which is a very common misconception about players in general, especially in regards to Jamal, as we've seen recently. So it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, Jahrome Hughes is killing it down there at the Storm, and if he does want to come, great, we'd open him with open arms. In regards to Jonah Pezzett, he's in a weird situation, man. Like, Jonah Pezzett is kind of where we're at right now in regards to Tanner and Tommy, and specifically Tommy, where he's not experienced, but he's knocking on the door, and we don't necessarily know what we're going to get from him, but he has shown some really, really promising signs. So I think he would be in advanced stages of what you see from Tommy Weaver. Tanner Boyd's at least got that experience of having the seasons under his belt. But with that being said, I do think that Jonah Pezzett is a nice player that I wouldn't say no to if the opportunity arose from. So obviously it is just completely rumour, but they've got Munster, they've got Hughes. They do want to keep... Is Wishart's a utility 5'8"? halfback?
He can play 5'8". He can pretty much play anywhere in the spine, man. He doesn't have an out-and-out position.
Yeah. So, look, they've got a guy there in Wishart that, I nearly said Rod Wishart, which is actually his dad from the Dragons days. But, look, they've got a player there that they can still utilise if they did lose Jonah Pezzett. So, look, I think it's an exciting prospect that potentially, but if we did that, that'd be kind of saying to Tommy Weaver that we don't believe in you, which would really kind of take him down a notch in regards to his confidence. So, I don't know. It just comes down to whether the club wants to go forward with a brand new player that they still don't have any, there's no guarantees in, or they want to go with the player that there's no guarantees in that we currently have right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Jonah Pezzett right now, skill for skill, would be a slight upgrade on Tommy Weaver, I believe. But long-term, Jonah Pezzett doesn't really fix where we're at. Like, we need that experience in the spine, and Jonah Pezzett doesn't quite have that yet. And further to that point, like, do you remember who his halves partner was for the Blues in under-19s?
That would have been Tommy Weaver, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Like, we're literally signing another great young halfback that has played rep footy, and we've already got one. We literally have his halves partner, guys, from a year or two ago in the under-19s. Another unconfirmed report that Nathan Brown, the former Knights and Warriors coach, is going to join us as a pathways coordinator. I don't know enough about his skill set in that area. I believe he's done it with the Eels, so I can't give too much of a comment there, but do you think this would be a good signing for the club?
I find it funny, though, that you've said that because, Gus Gould came out this week, actually, and kind of threw a bit of shade at the Eels' development and pathways and youth coming through, and that he said that it's never really been developed. So it's quite funny that you say that there. But, yeah, I don't know anyone near enough about Nathan Brown in this department. Obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting him to become the coach of the Gold Coast Titans anytime soon after what we've seen at other clubs. But, look, he's got experience in regards to and knows the game, so I wouldn't necessarily say no, but I don't know enough about the position to really comment.
I'm in the exact same boat there. Another rumour that we should talk about. Brodie Croft is rumoured to be looking at his options back here in the NRL, and the Titans office are rumoured to have sort of identified him as a potential option. Now, that's a potential option, guys. That's all the report said. Nothing set in stone here. Look, he's gone over to the Super League now for 2 or 3 years. He's won the Dally M equivalent over there. For me, he still doesn't quite fit the experienced halfback tag that we need. But at the same token, like, you get to a point where you have to be realistic of who's actually available in the open market. And I think Brodie Croft's biggest issue and why he never flourished in the Broncos system was he came from a Storms team where he was always second fiddle to a spine that included Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, and Cameron Smith. And there's no shame in that. Like, you're not made to step up and make the big decisions when you're surrounded by superstars. Now he has gone over to the Super League. He has won the Man of Steel whilst being the halfback and leading around a team. He does have a release clause every single year in his contract, so he could sign with us from next year. I'm going to sound crazy, but I'm going to say yes, man. I wouldn't mind if we pursued Brodie Croft now that he's got that experience. Someone like Jackson Hastings went over there, came back, and pretty consistent halfback. What are your thoughts, man? Would you like to see Brodie Croft linked with our club?
Yeah, just obviously, I know that we do have a couple of English people who do watch this show. And when I say English people, I mean like Super League watchers, right? So I know that we have a few avid Super League viewers that do listen. So don't take offense if we don't know a great deal about Brodie Croft and what he's done over there, because obviously your game is on at like 1 a.m. our time, 2 a.m. our time, and usually we're pretty tired from just watching our games in the NRL. So I don't know a great deal about what he's done over there besides, obviously, you telling me about... Is it the Man of Steel? Is the Dally M equivalent?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's obviously done that. Brodie Croft, I believe, would be classed as the experience tag, but I just never trust backline/spine players. I probably would trust a hooker from England, and I definitely trust the forwards. I definitely trust the front rowers and the back rowers and the locks and whatnot. Maybe not the lock necessarily, but like just anyone in the forwards, I trust from England. But I just can't get through the backs, and especially not centres. We've had our fair share there. Callum Watkins, Dan Sarginson, who didn't really kick on there. So yeah, look, overall, I wouldn't necessarily say no to the opportunity, but it's just completely, it's just another name that's being floated around right now. But I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, I think that Brodie Croft will answer more questions than any NRL player we could sign right now would. Is there still some question marks associated?
The only issue that I find is one, I think in the Super League, considering his contract... So you said that his contract, he can leave at the end of each year.
Yes. Yep. He's got it, as long as it's to an NRL club.
Yeah, that's right. Because I knew that there was like transfer fees. Like if you still had years left in your contract in Super League, you had transfer fees that you have to pay that club, and then obviously the player wages, so that probably wouldn't have worked. The only issue would be how much he's asking for, because again, he didn't really necessarily do too much when he was at the Broncos or even the Storm or whatnot when he was here. Has gone over there and killed it, but the NRL is a different ballgame, and I know I'm very well aware that the Super League have won the World Club Challenge and whatnot, but at the end of the day, a 27-round season, plus also finals, I don't genuinely believe that Super League teams actually make the 8. Maybe this year, actually, because it's actually a bit of an open-ended comp. But I don't genuinely believe on a long-term basis that the Super League teams do compete on that significant level. So, look, again, it just comes down to the money that he would be after.
Let me add to that respectfully as well to Brodie Croft. I don't think there'd be a number of NRL clubs lining up for his signature. Almost every other club has their out-and-out halfback or at least some depth there, which Brodie Croft would otherwise be filling. So if I was the Titans and we could get him in a perfect world, Blaze, what I'd do is, hey, here's a 2-year contract at X amount, and the next 2 years are a mutual option between yourself and the club. If you perform, we will activate that, and that will increase your salary to whatever else. So then we're kind of protecting ourselves a little bit there. I was going to read out a quote by Jamal Fogarty's manager, but I think we should just gloss over this, man, because as we said, Look, all we'll say is Jamal Fogarty's manager has come out, said some things about our club, said that we basically told him he needs to go. And our message in return is we wish Jamal all the best in his recovery, and we're just going to move on from that. Next bit of news. Our ANZAC jerseys will be available for an auction post-game with funds going to the Currumbin RSL Veteran Support Beneficiary, which is the Ron Workman OAM Veteran Support Centre. Details on how to bid for those jerseys will be available Wednesday, the 24th of April. I'm going to try to bid and see if I can win one. I reckon that'd be really cool. Judiciary news. Jimmy Jolliffe, charged again. Can we start a Patreon or a GoFundMe? This is rubbish. Grade 1 dangerous contact. So the big fella loses another $1,800. Come on, NRL. He's a new dad. He needs that coin.
How much is Jimmy Jolliffe actually on, by the way? Do you know what his contract actually is?
No, I don't. I don't think it was ever reported heavily in the newspapers. Maybe like a website like Zero Tackle might have it. But he's been fined like 3 or 4 times this year now, man, with grade 1. So
yeah, you keep reading it out. I'll go and actually see if I can find it.
Leave Jimmy alone. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Injury news, guys. Now, Jaden Campbell is listed to return in round 11 from his knee injury. The only other updates I can give you to that is Phil Sammy was expected to return this round from his ankle injury. He's not returning. You've probably seen team list by now. And Keenan Palacia, he was listed as a round 8 return from his quad injury. He still didn't return. So no further updates to that yet. But of course, we hope both players are available to return for us in the near future. However, neither were named on the reserve sheet either. So those are players that can come into your lineup closer to kickoff. So it appears that they're at least one more week away from returning. How did you go with that?
No, not too good. Not too good, mate. I didn't go too well in regards to finding his contract. It gave me like a real estate thing. But no, all I know is Jimmy Jolliffe, I don't think that he'd be on 1.2 million, so let's stop fining him. All right, that's what we'll say. He's not on 1.2 million, so let's not fine him because, listen, just leave him alone. You know, he's working hard. He's working hard, the big fella.
He's an honest Irish workhorse. The big fella represented Ireland in the World Cup there, for those that were where I was going with that. Another thing I didn't know, Corporal Cameron Baird was actually a Titans member. Now, he is the guy that you see on our 2023 ANZAC jersey and on the back of our 2020 warm-up tee. An incredible human being that gave his life for our country. And I actually didn't know he was a Titans member. So that's actually really, really cool.
When I was down in Canberra the other week and went to the War Memorial, I actually was there and went and saw his section there at the War Memorial for Corporal Cameron Baird, which was amazing. There's actually kind of like 2 sections. There's like a little, really kind of beautiful area, and then around there's a lot more of the knowledge section as well. And I'm pretty certain that that Doug Baird was there at the time that I was there. I'm pretty certain he was with the Titans, because obviously we were playing there, so they might have been doing something for this week. But yeah, look, obviously we love this family. We love what Corporal Cameron Baird obviously has done for our country, and it's really an honour to be able to have him on our jersey.
It is such an honour to be involved with this man. For those of you that don't know, you can YouTube it. You can Google his story. He has the Victorian Cross, which is the most highest honour you can be given as an Australian serviceman or woman. And as you said, man, you would have seen at the War Memorial, he looked like an imposing figure, man. Like they had the statue of what he looked like. You were looking up to this guy, man. Absolute legend there. And on that note, it is ANZAC Day. So this is our ANZAC Round podcast. So on behalf of Blaze, myself, the entire Gold Coast Titans frontline community, we want to send our sincere gratitude and sincere thanks to all of our servicemen and women of Australia and New Zealand that have contributed to our freedom and making our two beautiful countries what they are today. Alrighty, Blaze. Blast from the past. You know what time it is, baby. Hit that. I hope it's not too annoying for you to edit, but hit that noise right now.
Mate,
I'm going to take it this week.
Now. It started when you said hit that noise, and then you said right now, there's 2 blasts, mate. We're 2 blasts from the past.
Give me 3. Oh, there we go, guys.
Stop making me edit more, mate. Stop making me edit.
Click. Nah. I'm going to keep it nice and simple this week, man. Now, I'm only going to go back to last year. Not even a full game, just a moment. And that's the beauty with the blast from the past. It doesn't have to be a whole game, guys. It can be a tackle, a try, a moment, whatever. It just has to reminisce, give us a reason to smile when we reminisce in this moment. Round 23, last year, at home, against the Warriors, 16th minute, Moeki Fotuaika is controversially, and I'll still say that to this day, sent off. We fight so hard, man, against a top 4 Warriors side with only 12 men for such a long period. And in the 63rd minute, Jaden Campbell intercepts a pass and goes the length of the field. I was watching this with a friend at his house, and I jumped up and screamed so loud, I got white, like my vision went white, and I started seeing like the star effect. So I had to sit down from shouting too loud. What was that like at the ground, man? Do you remember the crowd's roar when he took that intercept?
Oh, mate, that was one of the greatest moments. Because obviously people... If you go to games, if you go to every game at home, or you just go to a couple of games, the Warriors game is where they bring all of Auckland, right? We have a large Kiwi audience in the Gold Coast. So when the Warriors do play here, they do bring a large contingent over. Now, for the last 10 years or so, the Warriors haven't exactly been too fantastic, right? They've been decent, but up until last year, they obviously really came back onto the scene. Now, with that came a lot of bandwagoners, came a lot more people. So the audience was genuinely like 80-20 in favour of the Warriors, right? So, yeah, it was a tough one from the outset, but when Jaden Campbell did get that intercept, it was absolutely insane. Man, I go through that every single week at the ground, obviously, because I'm just putting every bit of effort into what I'm doing, but I go through that thing where my eyes start kind of, I feel like I'm about to pass out kind of deal, but this moment, man, we went absolutely nuts, man. We went nuts because it was against massive adversity. It was against all odds. We were down a man for so long. We were down, I think it was 18-6 after 44 minutes as well. And then to score these 2 tries to bring us back to tied up 16-6 or whatever. But the point of the matter was that, yeah, we came back to it. And, yeah, when JC ran it. And then I saw Warriors fans saying, like, oh, Prime SJ would have caught him. No chance, man. Absolutely no chance was JC getting caught there. And SJ wasn't even close to catching him. So, yeah, very proud moment there, man, and did show a lot of resilience in the team. And, look, it was just us, again, competing with those big dogs. So, hopefully, we can do it again on Thursday.
100%, man, because that resilience that our team's shown the last 3 weeks, we've always had it. It just hasn't been as obvious as it is now under Des Hazard, where we fight the whole time. People forget last year, we beat the Broncos, and we beat the Storm, and, like, we competed pretty well with the Warriors given that.
And we didn't do with the Panthers.
We didn't do too bad with the Panthers for like 60 minutes, and then the last 20 is where they took over it. That's okay, because it was literally Tom Weaver on debut versus Nathan Cleary in the halves. Like, that resilience, man, we've always had it, but we're really bringing it to the surface and unlocking it every single game.
I've got to throw some out here. You know, some people may say Manly we were robbed. We definitely will be saying Canberra were robbed. I think Tanner Boyd's been robbed here. I think Tanner Boyd may have been robbed here as well. That field goal over there at Mount Smart a couple of years ago. Oh, my goodness me. Oh, my goodness me. We could have used the Jaden Campbell one at Seabus, so when we played them a little bit later on in the year. And then guess what? We could have used a Tanner Boyd field goal at Mount Smart for the Auckland game. But no, Clarkey's gone off the rocker.
I've ruined it. Hopefully the audience forget it, because, dude, that moment you referenced there. So I have this rule, right? After the 2017 game against the Storm at Suncorp, where Anthony Don jumps up and bats it back to Conrad Hurrell, who scores. We beat the Storm, who only 2 sides beat them that year, being us and the Eels.
We play them next week. Don't give it away. Hey.
All right, I can't give away. I can't give away what happens. Sorry, because I don't want to spoil it for you for next week. You're going to say that next week.
You're only 6-7 years late, but we won't spoil it for you.
But what I will say is, I have a rule after that game, because I turned the game off. I never turn off a Titans game anymore. I was so angry in that Storm game, and I thought, I'll have a look. What's the score? And then luckily I got to witness that. The Warriors one was the same though, dude. The one where Tanner kicked that field goal. I was ready to turn it off.
Hey, JC
like,
was the guy who came back as well. He was the one who scored a couple of tries, or he got a try assist and a try, and then Tanner was the one who kicked the field goal. But Jaden Campbell, again, he just loves playing against the Warriors. It's just unfortunate that he's injured right now.
It is. You know what? We are going to have some fun blasts from the past podcast in the off-season this year. We're going to go team by team, and we're going to have a competition. Like, let's start us off with the Broncos. I have to name a great Broncos moment or win. You have to name one. And whoever can't name like a famous moment first loses. There will be no winner for the Dolphins game, though. Let's move on to the Titans trivia. Our trivia question last week was, after 6 rounds in the 2024 competition, which Titans player has ran the most amount of meters? And the answer, Blaze, was...
It was Brian Kelly. We had a couple of people say AJ Brimson in the comment section, which isn't a bad shout. It's definitely not a bad shout at all. But Brian Kelly, who had 575 prior to this round.
Big BK putting in those meters. We need him to keep that up because Shoppy's making big meters in reserve grade as well and nipping at his heels. Which team? Sorry, our trivia question this week is: which team did we beat in round 25 of the 2021 NRL season to qualify for the finals? Bonus points if you can remember the score, and another bonus point if you can name a try scorer. Blaze, I know you can see the answer there.
It was the Glebe Dirty Reds, and it was Cameron Marlowe scoring.
And it was a Michael Jordan's a UFC fighter. Well, I know you like to interview UFC fighters on your YouTube, so that's all right.
Listen, you're all over the shop. And I think we just move into talking about how we should have beaten Manly.
Hey guys, cut me some slack. I have just been recording another show for the last hour or so. Let's review our last round. We go down to Manly 34-30 at a home crowd of 13,336. Which is slightly less than our 2023 average. So hopefully with some results, we can build that crowd back up at home. 5 tries to 6, Blaze. Tanner does kick 5 from 5 on the goals. And we actually went to halftime 24-22 up. Recap me this one from a live perspective. How was the game, the front line, the atmosphere at the ground for this one?
Yeah, look, it was a great atmosphere, man. Obviously, there were a large portion of Manly fans there. But the reason why, I'll let everyone know, the reason why Manly bring a large contingent up every single year is actually because they use our game every single year as like a members function. So you would have seen if you had to go on Sporting Globe beforehand, they had a function on there. They do like events and whatnot always on Gold Coast. Guess what? We live in the greatest city in this country, right? So it's no surprise that Manly bring up their away fans for the one-off event at the Gold Coast, and that's been like 9 years straight now, 10 years straight. So that's why there's a lot there. Look, I think that this was a game that I still feel pretty controversial about. Like, obviously, at the end of the day, you can't concede 34 points and complain about the referees on a large scale. But, like, to go back on it, obviously that try just before halftime is the most ridiculous thing that I've seen in a long time. It's a Reece Walsh-esque pass. It was so forward, and you could even make the argument of obstruction on the black and white ruling of it, which is why, for the people out there who are seeing that photo of Kieran Foran looking like he's celebrating Tom Trbojevic, no, that's our captain right now, literally putting his hands up for the obstruction and probably for the forward pass as well, because it was about 6 to 7 meters forward. It was wild. You can't have a pass based on science or on trajectory or whatever through the forward motion. It can't be dragged that far forward. If it's 2 meters, 2 meters, then yeah, okay, but an extra 5 meters on top of that, you're dreaming, son. So yeah, look, obviously, we still concede a lot of points in this game, and that's our biggest issue right now, which is crazy considering that... actually, no, it's not crazy. It's not surprising, but we do have such a good defensive efficiency as well. It's weird that we're actually giving us so many points, and it comes down to individual lackluster moments, right, from individual players that just don't necessarily have the ability for the 80 minutes. Now, I'm not pointing out anybody there. I'm just saying in general, because our defensive efficiency... You can actually see that we are defending quite well. You can actually see that we are making the big tackles and we are holding them out a lot more than we have in previous years. But it's the individual defensive lapses. But I always will go back to and say, which we've said many times in this podcast before, any team who scores in that last 5 minutes of the first half usually goes on to win because they get the momentum. Instead of being up 24-16, an 8-point deficit, We're only up 24-22, and then they score to take the lead through the unfortunate Tanner Boyd intercept. They score to take the lead. The whole game has completely changed because instead of them going down by only 2 now, they've actually taken the lead over the top of us. So that's where the whole game from that point changes. The whole momentum, the whole everything changes from that moment. So, yeah, look, it's frustrating. But again, we're seeing improvements. We're seeing tries now. At least we didn't score any points against the Dogs. We scored 4 points against the Dragons. We scored, 12 points or whatever against the Dolphins. So we weren't scoring points. At least we've scored these points here. But again, these teams were also coming off a 90-minute performance the week beforehand because Manly, they played the Warriors, right? The Manly played the Warriors over in New Zealand, I think it was. So, look, it's 2 teams coming off a 90-minute performance. You could kind of see it, but I'm not giving excuses because you can't give up 34 points and lose the game. But with that being said, take away that try, we win 30-28 on that basis.
Yeah, the forward pass is so unfortunate, right? Because if you concede 100 points, but you should have won 106-6 to 100, sorry, then obviously everyone's gonna say, well, you conceded 100 points, but it's like, yeah, but by the letter of the law, guys, they still missed a forward pass, and it was a bad miss. I think I sent you the photo on Facebook. For our YouTube viewers, it might actually be beneficial just bringing it up for a minute so they can actually see second by second how forward that pass. Thank you so much, man, because that photo actually really does capture it. It has the timestamps below, and you see there is just no way that pass went backwards. But look, for me, again, at full time, I was upset. I was disappointed, but I wasn't dejected. I wasn't dejected when we lost in round 1 and 2. Part of me was like, crap, it's another loss. We're now 0-6. We could have won that. But part of it was also a feeling of pride. It's another week where at full time, you cannot question the team's effort. Absolutely, the team was putting in a bulk amount of effort. Now, there is no doubt you can question moments where we could and should have been better. You've already referenced them. You cannot concede 2 minutes before half-time, guys, and then 3 minutes into the second half. That's a really, really poor 5-minute period that cost us 12 points. But even though we made those errors, the same efforts still remained throughout that game. So I can't be upset that we're making these errors because we are still putting in effort. I hate to admit it though, Blaze, it is going to get to a point where we need to look at our defensive structures because statistically in that game, we actually defended really well. We had so many less missed tackles than we have on average and so many less ineffective tackles. But it was just the moments where we just, slacked off for a second or something didn't quite go our way. I'm not sure, but it is an area of our game we do need to keep looking to improve. And arguably, well, not even arguably, it is the most important area of any footy side. And we've been poor there for a number of years. Outside of that, though, let's focus on some positives. Our attack improved. Our discipline improved leaps and bounds. Or maybe it was just a change in officiating, but let's not go there. All in all, improvements this week, all around the board. So yes, it's another week. It's another loss. Yes, it doesn't get any easier to take losses, that is. But the improvements are there for our side, so I'm going to focus on the positives there.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely great to focus on the positives. I think that there's a key thing that people will probably be thinking right now, how many times can you be competitive and lose and still be proud of the effort and still be proud of the fact that we gave it everything we've got? I feel like that's where fans probably are thinking right now. So I don't want the organisation or anyone who listens here to think that, okay, now that means that we're kind of in the clear sailing, that, we're competing, so that's all we kind of need to do. At the end of the day, we still do want to win. But it is still, at the end of the day as well, we do enjoy them competing. We do enjoy them giving it a crack, and sometimes it's just not going to come up trumps. And it didn't come up trumps against the Raiders controversially, and it didn't come up trumps against Manly controversially. But again, if we go and play New Zealand this week and we lose by 2 points, then will you be still proud that we competed and lost? And then if we lose that game by 2 points and then go and play Melbourne at home, again, on my birthday, we lose that game by 2 points or 1 point, that would then be 4 weeks in a row where you've competed and lost. Are you still happy and proud of competing and losing in that situation?
It's a great question. It will get to the point where we've seen enough improvement, we need a win. I don't think it's quite at that point yet. But if we were to lose by a tight margin to the Warriors, it would certainly start wearing thin on my patience.
No, it's not there yet. No way. It's only been 2 games. We're happy that we're not losing 32-0 or 30-0 or whatever it was to the Dogs and whatnot. We're just happy to kind of be here at the moment. But if you get 3-4 times down the track and you're having that heartbreaking feeling of, oh man, we were so close. Yes, there are going to be people who say, oh yeah, this is awesome, we're at least giving it a crack and we've got that potential. But there comes that point where you're just like, well, show us that potential and show us that they're going to make that next leap because, I hate to remind everyone, and this is I've never really been this negative. I'm not negative, guys. I'll be there in New Zealand. Like, I'm at every game. But I will remind everyone, we are still currently 0-6, right? I don't remember how it feels to win. I'll be completely honest with you. When you go to every single game, I've been at every game this year. I was at every game last year. I was at majority in 2022. For 14 years, I cannot remember. I'm feeling right now like what we felt like when we beat the Tigers in 2020, when it was a whole year or so before we got a win. So I really need to see us get a win because I know that we deserve it. And that's what I was saying to Kieran all throughout the game. And the boys can hear me. If you guys sit in the front line, the boys can absolutely hear me. They acknowledge it sometimes. And we deserve it. We deserve to win that game against Manly, in my opinion. We deserve to win that game against the Canberra Raiders. So now I hope that we do win against the Warriors and, we will deserve it. We will deserve it. So, I'm looking for just a good game there. But I think the question is warranted that how many times... Actually, that's like specifically, what would you say the number is for how many times you can compete, still lose, and be proud?
3 or 4. If it happens again this week, I'll be really on the fence. I'll cop it on the chin. But it's to the point, mate, where, like, how much more can we improve without getting a win, right? We've lost by golden point at the 90th minute, and then we've lost by a try under controversial circumstances in a game we probably should have won as well. But we also did concede 12 points in 5 minutes, either side of half-time. So, look, if we lost to the Warriors by, like, we were winning and they scored in the last minute to come over the top of us, then I'd kind of be like, damn, we've just forgotten how to win. But, I mean, if we compete for the full 80 and lose by a field goal again or one try margin, I'll be starting to really feel it. And I think the team would as well.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we've also got to remember that Manly are a very good team this year. They have been really, really surprising and really doing some nice work there. Not a big believer in Anthony Seibold, but I am a big believer in their team lineup and Cherry Evans and Tom Trbojevic and the likes, right? So we do need to remember that we did only go down by 4 points to a really solid team. And the Raiders were doing pretty solid until this Jamal Fogarty injury, and then they've obviously gone and got whooped by the Broncos there. But if we were losing, look, actually I'll say this: if we lost to the Tigers by 2 points, there would be issues there. If we had lost this game, if we're changing Manly for the Tigers, or we're changing Canberra for actually not the first game. First game's fine. Manly, or we changed. Let's assume the Warriors. Warriors are a good team. I know they got thumped by the Dragons, right? But you change them for the Raiders right now without Jamal Fogarty, or you give the Eels, or even the Rabbitohs right now, or the Tigers, then I'd be finding the problems. But at least we're showing that we can compete with the big teams. So when we come up against these smaller teams in quotation marks, when we come up against the smaller teams, we should be winning those games.
Absolutely, man. And in this Manly game, like, our key to victory, both of us, was to contain Tom Trbojevic. We didn't contain him. He got a double 200 metres, multiple tackle breaks, and we were still in it. So, realistically, the effort was there. We have to be happy with that. I want to finish this segment with a take that I put up on my page this week, and it was, the Titans are almost there. They are playing with a ton of resilience and putting in effort for the entire 80 minutes. The reality is they might not win as many football games this year as they did last year, but make no mistake, this is a side that will certainly build a stronger platform from the future from this season. They are a new spine signing, and their captain returning from injury away from winning games these past couple of weeks. And I believe that, mate. Yeah. I believe that with my whole heart. If Tino is there and we have that spine signing, which we seem to be missing at the moment, we beat the Cowboys, we beat the Raiders, and we beat the Manly Seagulls, in my humble opinion.
I would say that, firstly, we spoke at this last week, and I said I need to see our performance against Manly to see if we would have a chance of beating our 9 wins that we had last season. I do struggle to see us beating those 9 wins that we had last season, but I will also bring it back within perspective here for people that don't necessarily understand that, like, we're not completely out of the equation if we went on a run, but we have to go on a run here, right? Because we are in last, we haven't won a game, but we are still only 4 wins with 20 games to go away from the top 8, right? So it is all perspective, but we need to start winning right this second if we want to think like that, which I don't think many people are thinking like that. We just want to win at this point, but then you'll start to think like that once you get that win. But 9 wins is going to be super tough considering that we are, 6 games down and we haven't got a single win. But yeah, look, I agree with you in regards to the foundations being set for the future. I agree with you regardless. It's just going to be right this very second, without writing us off, because I won't write us off yet, but right this very second, it's kind of at the point now where we just want to see the building blocks, and it's going to be a slog of a year, a long year. But if we win against the Warriors, our mindsets will change, man. So I don't know. You've got to keep believing in something, man. You've got to keep believing that it turns around. So I'm not going to say that we're out of it yet, but we do need to get a nice little move along.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to be behind the 8 ball and needing to win games like we were last year. So if we were to go on a bit of a run and that became a reality, that would obviously be awesome. But regardless, it sounds like we're both on the same page that no matter what happens this year, we are building some framework and some blocks beneath us so that next year we can make that key signing and Tino is back from injury. These games that we lose by small margins this year, we'll actually win the following year. If you want some more evidence, look at the Raiders last year, man. Like, they lost or won so many games by 2 or 4 points. They worked on it and made a few signings in the off-season. No one expected them to do that well. Like, no one will expect us to do well next year. And they were going awesome to start the year. So it can happen. All right, 3-2-1s from last round. Let me kick us off. Jimmy Jolliffe gets my 3 points. He had the most hit-ups for us, the most meters of any forward, and the second most tackles for our side with 0 misses, 33 tackles made. Another huge effort in the middle by Jimmy, and he has been our best forward this year. Great game by him. Who gets your 3 points?
Yeah, look, I could definitely look towards a bit of Jimmy Jolliffe action, but I am going to go with Foz here. I think we were Kieran Foran, for people who don't know the nickname. Foz is a guy who, without him in this game, we would not have scored the points that we did to keep it close. And to, I really appreciated him getting into the referee at halftime when we, believed that we were dudded by that call, and we were dudded by that call. And, I said my piece as well after the game. But, without Kieran Foran in this game, we're not even close, to be completely honest with you. He had 8 runs for 40 run meters, which, you appreciate there. He had 2 line break assists. He had 3 try assists in this game. Had a couple of dummy passes. Made a few tackles. Did miss a couple, unfortunately. But again, his kicking game has been helping us out, mixing it up. And I know that obviously Tanner is the guy that really does put the boot behind the ball. But Kieran Foran has been helping out to mix it up a little bit. And, even a bit of Chrissy Randall action has been working out, and a bit of Brimo. Brian Kelly had one himself. So, yeah, I'm going to go 3 points to Kieran Foran.
My 2 points goes to Kieran Foran. As you said, 3 try assists. Pretty simple. Without his guidance and experience in our side last round, we don't get that close to the game. Defensively as well, I think he had a lot of talk out there, which would have helped, given he knows the Manly spine and what plays they're kind of looking to get to next. So Kieran Foran was massive for us. Without him, we're not in that contest. Who gets your 2 points?
Yeah, look, I think I'm going to have to give it to Jimmy as well. Jimmy Jolliffe for the 2 points. As you said, 137 run meters, which is the most of the forwards. I think, yeah, definitely the most of the forwards there. By a decent little bit. I do need to, see some more meters out of Big Moe. Dave didn't really get as many meters as you would like this time around in the game. But again, it's weird that he's only playing 57 minutes off the bench. Like, why is he playing off the bench, in my personal opinion? I'm not too sure, because they did switch it around. And again, I have to repeat this for everybody. They changed. Desi loves to change his team list after the podcast comes out, right? So please, if you see teams switching around and whatnot, we did not know when we recorded this podcast. But at least this podcast will come out for you guys on Wednesday rather than Thursday, because our game is on Thursday this week, right? So there's not probably going to be too many changes there. But I just don't understand why Dave's not starting. But overall, the meters, Jimmy Jolliffe got the most meters there for the forwards. So love him standing up. As you said, fantastic. And I'll give him my 2 points.
My 1 point, I'm going to get controversial here, man. Not a lot of people are going to agree with this, and fair enough. I'm going Tanner Boyd. He didn't miss a single goal. He ran the football multiple times and got 100-plus meters. He ran our entire kicking game, short or long. He scored a try himself, which does, take out the intercept pass that he unfortunately threw. But from where Tanner Boyd's format was from where he was at when he's, sorry, let me restart that again. From where his form was at when he was dropped 2 weeks ago to how he played in this game was actually a huge bounce back. He played with a lot more confidence. Like, he didn't run 100 plus meters before we dropped him. He didn't kick 5 from 5. He didn't even throw passes with the opportunity to have him intercepted, although that's a bad thing. He was playing with more confidence. So I'm going to go 1 point Tanner Boyd. And I know it's controversial, but it is what it is. That's my pick. Who gets your 1 point?
People are going to hate on you regardless, man, because people have already made their mind up about Tanner. So it's like he can't... Like, I know that obviously he threw the intercept, but at the end of the day, he did have a much better game than he has previously. And I love that selection there from you. It's not going to be my 1 point, but overall, I definitely do agree with him getting some love. And regardless of how well he played, how bad he played, well, if he played bad, they just have more ammunition and fuel for the fire. But people are going to hate on Tanner regardless, as I said last week. You know, people are very set in stone. So much love goes out to Tam. He had a good game. My 1 point's actually going to go to Jojo Fafita, which is a bit of a skew one that many people might not expect. But he ran for 178 run meters. 17 runs for 178 run meters. He had the most runs in the game. He had 60 kick return meters, 53 post-contact meters. He had a tackle break in this game. He had 2 offloads in this game. And had an 80% tackle. He obviously made 4 tackles, missed 1. But overall, I don't think that Jojo put a step wrong in this game. And I was pretty happy with what he did. The only issue is, but then again, overall, did we concede a try down that side?
Oh, I don't know that exactly. Like, Tom Trbojevic scored one either side of the field, I believe, but I can't remember exactly if we conceded down Jojo's side.
Yeah, so we probably would have conceded down that side, but obviously a lot more of the tries, and this is not throwing shots or anything like that, but a lot more of the tries have gone down Brian Kelly and Alofiana Khan Pereira's side. So, you know, they do target that left edge of ours, and that's not Manly, that's every game. So, you know, I'm a lot more confident in the defensive side of Harley Smith-Shields and Jojo Fafita at the moment. Obviously, no, wait, hold on. Jojo Fafita and Harley Smith-Shields on the right-hand side. And obviously, you'll get Philip Sami coming back in. I would still assume that it comes in for Jojo, but at the end of the day, I thought Jojo had a great game, and I think I'll give him a shout-out.
And I think even if Jojo does get dropped for Phil Sami, which is fair with where Phil's at in our side, he's one of our leaders, that's exciting for Tweed, man, because then we have Keanu Kinney, who's in great form, and Jojo there playing together. So that's it does benefit the overall organization as well. Although Jojo would obviously not like to hear that. So after 7 rounds, our frontline's finest leaderboard rather still has Jimmy Jolliffe in the lead by a fair whack. Alrighty, we just spoke a little bit about Q Cup. Let's wrap that up before we move into our preview. The Tweed Seagulls defeat the Jets 38-12 with a few Titans out of the top 30 or Titans-affiliated players involved in the contest. I want to go to you first. I want to go to the Seagull for this one first because you did watch this game live. So how was it at the ground? Like, was there a good crowd? Was there a vibe? Who was cheering for more, or who was cheering more for each side? And which players stood out to you?
I want to ask you, how do you make a jet noise? Is that how you go? Hey, we're close. That sounds like a really fast car, though. You know,
yeah, it does.
Pew, pew, pew. There you go. There's the guns and the jets. All right. But yeah, look, obviously, it was not a great deal of people turned up for it, but it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I really liked watching Tweed and Keanu have a really good crack. You know, Keanu Kenny, obviously only 19 years old. He really killed it in this game. I would say there was definitely more Tweed fans there, and that's because, 1, they are a direct feeder club, and 2, they are a long-term feeder club, rather than Ipswich, who obviously are a development club, and it's their first year with the team. They are technically the Roosters. But yeah, Tweed just were the better team in this game. You know, they just were the ones to come out. They had probably the more experience in the game as well, in regards to guys knocking on the door for the NRL, like a guy like a Caleb Ngamanu, who is coming through the ranks as well. Oscar Bryant scored the first minute of the game. The guy that I gave a shout out last week when we were talking about potential players coming up through, I think, Sam Janko's question. Tommy Steadman, he also played in the preseason for us against the Dolphins. A few of these guys here were, really good, knocking on the door talent. So I thought Tweed played very well. I thought it was good to see both these teams do play and do battle at Seabus Super Stadium before the game. Would love to see more of it. Would love to see more feeder club action whether it be Tweed or be Ipswich. And look, I would actually prefer, if people had seen myself, the Tweed Seagulls and the Ipswich Jets, we actually had a bit of a laugh on Instagram this week where I commented saying, who do I drum for? Who do I support? How am I meant to do this? And they both replied with why I should drum them and get behind them and whatnot. And they still went back at each other after the game as well on that comment. So it's a good interactive kind of situation that we've got going, but it's just unfortunate they both play each other, so I couldn't really get too much drumming. But yeah, there were some good performances in the Ipswich as well.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Let's run through how our Titans went. Aaron Shoppy for the Jets. He scored a try. He had 2 from 2 goals, 20 runs for 256 metres, 9 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, and 7 tackles for 1 miss. So, literally almost a perfect game there from Shoppy. I think it is his 4th consecutive week where he's been up over 200 metres.
Bro. He's knocking on the He's not knocking on the door. He's banging, saying, let me in, mother bish. He's saying, get me in.
Yes. I mean, if Brian Kelly or Harley Smith-Shields at this point play one bad game, that's literally enough for Shoppy to get in. That's how good he has been. He was our only Titan for the Jets from our top 30, but we did have plenty of youngsters such as De Groot, Howe, Foxwell, Liu, Nicotimo, etc. However, for Tweed, Keanu Kinney, must be said, man of the match. 1 try, 236 metres, 1 line break, 4 line break assists, 2 try assists, 10 tackle breaks, and 2 offloads. Insane stuff by Kinney, man, for a teenager. That is just superb. We had Tommy Weaver. He had 103 metres. He made 3 tackle breaks, but he did have 18 tackles and he missed 18. He did make 18 tackles, but he did miss 8. My apologies there. No other attacking stats for Tommy. Jacob Arlick, 117 metres and 5 tackles for 1 miss from 80 minutes. So in this game, it was definitely a standout for Kinney and Shop, who have not forced themselves into first grade, unfortunately. There's some pretty handy players in front of them at the moment, but they're showing that if we unfortunately do have injuries or suspension, that they are seemingly ready to come in and do a job for us, and that is all we can ask for them in reserve grade.
Just before we do move into the next section, I'll give you a bit of a wrap about what's happening right now on the ladder. So the Ipswich Jets, they're in 15th position. They actually have the bye this week, so they more than likely will jump up above the Western Clydesdales, who play the North Devils. Even though the Devils are in 9th position, the Clydesdales probably lose. They actually just lost their affiliation with the Canterbury Bulldogs this week. So they're in a bit of a struggle city. So the Ipswich Jets more than likely will go into 14th. There's a chance they actually go above the Magpies too. So if the Magpies, they've actually got a minus 82 to the Jets minus 52. And the Magpies are taking on the Cutters. And the Cutters are obviously in first position right now. And they are flying, son. They are flying. So there's a chance that Ipswich will move to 13th. And the Blackhawks, they are playing the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are in 2nd position. So by the end of the weekend, the Jets are probably in 12th position. They've actually gone up 3 spots there, provided the results go to plan. And with Tweed Seagulls, they go up against the Brisbane Tigers. These Tigers, who are in 7th position right now, the Seagulls are in 10th. Now, if they win this game, they go into the top 8. They will be there. They will jump above the Tigers. I guess they would have to rely on Capra's losing to the Falcons. But, the Seagulls would go into the top 8. If they were to lose, they more than likely would stay in 10th. I don't see the Hunters beating the Bears, who are in 3rd position, even though the Bears aren't that great. I probably don't see the Hunters beating the Bears. I'm not too sure if that's in Papua New Guinea or in Burleigh. But at the end of the day, both our teams are actually looking like they're potentially on the up this week.
Yeah, I'm just going through the Tweed lineup as well. I actually forgot to add that to our notes this week. But at this stage, the only Titan that has been named is Tommy Weaver. But if you go to our lineup, you'd expect players such as, not Joe Stimson. He is with the Jets. Probably only Keanu Kinney and Jacob Arlick. You'd expect both of those to go back.
Well, Keanu is in New Zealand right now.
Okay, then I'm wrong.
Because I saw Keanu, I'm pretty certain, I could be wrong, guys. This is being recorded on Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, but to be fair, our game's on Thursday. The Seagulls versus Tigers game is on Saturday, so they probably will come back on Friday. He'll probably be good to go on Saturday. He's probably just a part of the extended reserves, or 18th or 19th player. But yeah, okay, so that must mean that he still could be playing. He could still be playing, but it does say he's out in this game.
Yeah, so that would be based off last week, but he could still come in late. So we'll look at this stage. What we know for sure is Tommy Weaver will be there for our Titans. Who might be there, guys, is Keanu Kinney and Jacob Arlick-Winchke, depending on what happens Obviously, traveling to New Zealand with our NRL team does complicate players dropping back a little bit. Alrighty, that is everything from last week in the past. Let's look forward. We are in New Zealand this week. So first of all, to yourself and everyone traveling with the Frontline, have a great time in New Zealand. Super jealous.
Kia ora,
It'll be a great, it's going to be a great trip. 2 p.m. Anzac Day, Titans v Warriors at Go Media Stadium in Auckland, New Zealand. I'll start here with my preview, then I'll go to you. I think, again, like the last 3 weeks, realistically, we are a chance here. I'm not writing us off, but my obvious tip, and I think a lot of people's obvious tip for any competitions they're in, would be the Warriors, right? I don't think that's unfair to say. They score more than us on average, they concede less than us on average, and they've played harder opposition than us this year. That being said, we are showing genuine improvements every single week, but as we spoke about in the podcast earlier, it's going to get to the point where improvements aren't enough. We need a win. And I actually could argue that after this loss, we will be there. So big chance to not only show more improvements here, but hopefully get a much-needed win. How much of the front line are going over with you, man? Do you expect we'll have much support over there? And how do you feel ultimately about this game? Do you have us in the no chance, maybe, likely, or absolute category?
Absolute. No, look, I think that's put the house in it, lads. Put your family on it. Put yourself on it. You'll be ending up in Cavill Avenue on the corner very, very soon. But no, I think that it's definitely a chance that we can win this game. I'm not putting it past it at all. I've actually, funnily enough, had a lot of Warriors fans message me or comment on my YouTube channel on BKRsport saying, I think you actually win this week. And for me, that's promising that Warriors fans are saying that, but I also know Warriors fans, and I know that Warriors fans, the actual Warriors fans from New Zealand are very kind-hearted, they're very open, they're very nice people. The Warriors fans from the Gold Coast, maybe not so much. I had to deal with a lot of you last year, but look, I think that it's a respect thing. But with that being said, the Warriors are coming in off a pretty poor game against the Dragons, where there was no referee excuses. The Warriors fans are the largest usually on a general consensus across all the years. The Warriors, that's actually where the nickname Waz originally came from. The Waz was based on them crying about the referee, wah wah, and their fan base has then taken it through, I think, probably the bandwagoners, because it's only a really recent thing, through the bandwagoners jumping on, not understanding and acknowledging what that's from, and then going with it, and it actually is a pretty good nickname. So, the Warriors did not actually have any referee complaints. They just were awful. They were awful. They looked worse than us in that game against the Dragons. They looked ridiculous. They looked like a genuine bottom 4 team, which is not something that we should be saying, because they should be a top 4 team this year. They should definitely be a top 8 team this year. But this one game against the Dragons, they looked awful. Now, granted, they were one of the 4 teams that were coming off that 90-minute performance the week before against Manly. So maybe the Warriors had that rust there, but it looked really poor. And you're getting currently Sean Johnson coming out saying, oh, maybe this might be my last year, maybe not. He didn't have a good game against the Drags there. And look, this Warriors team could still be that up and down fluctuation of a team that we've known for very, very many years. So, look, there's definitely a chance there, but we just need to see this same Titans resilience that comes out. And the last time we played New Zealand, we did beat them. It was a Tony Boyd field goal. And the last time we played New Zealand on Anzac Day in 2017, we beat them. So, there is that chance based off the last 2 times we've played them. But at the end of the day, we are just looking for reasons to back our team in. And, again, the Warriors aren't impossible to beat. They're not a team that you just see and go, oh, okay, there's no way we're beating them. I'd be looking at the Panthers. I'd be looking at I don't even necessarily the Storm nowadays, but there are still other teams out there that you look and say, geez, we're not winning that game. But this game, I could see it happening. I probably am not going to be tipping us, but there's absolutely a world we do it.
So the 2017 game you referenced was actually the 2nd of April, so not quite Anzac round, but close to it, and it was over...
we played them on Anzac Day one time, so it might be earlier. You talk, I'll go and have a look.
Yeah, because I thought this was the first time they'd played a home game at Anzac round, on Anzac Day, sorry, because I made a joke on another show that I do where we preview NRL, and I said that, the Warriors have lost their last 7 in a row, whilst the Titans have never lost on Anzac Day, and it was kind of, a bit of a joke poking fun at that. So maybe I've made myself look like a fool there. But guys, this is how I see it. In life, we've all had that goal, right, where we've gotten close to it, but we've fallen short. And then we can all remember the feeling... You go.
No, I'm just saying, 25th of April, In 2015, sorry. That was when we played them and we beat them on Anzac Day. Yeah, 25th of April at Mount Smart. We beat them 32-28.
Oh, nice, man. So that must have been the one year they didn't go to Melbourne and take on the Storm.
The very next year, I think, was their first year against the Storm on the 25th of April. It was That was a 42-0 win for the Storm. So they're actually not that great on Anzac Day, man. They're not that great.
Since we beat them, they haven't beaten the Storm once in Melbourne. So, but look, it's a different occasion for them at home. So where I was at with that one, guys. So we've all had that goal. We get close, right? We don't quite achieve it. Could be weight loss, could be saving up money, whatever it might be in life. And we remember that feeling of getting close, but not quite getting there and having to pick ourselves back up off the canvas. And you pick yourself up once and it's okay. Us versus the Raiders. You pick yourself up again and it gets a little harder. Us versus us last week versus, I don't know why my mind is going blank right now, but us last week against the Seagulls. There we go. So we've gotten close twice, guys. And we all know that feeling where like you're getting close, but you're just not quite getting over the line. And I think mentally, this is a really hard one for the Titans to get up for. We're against a side in the Warriors that, it must be said, they do have a genuine home advantage. Like, if we were going to Allianz Stadium against the Roosters, it's a home advantage, but it's not huge in my eyes. It's not like going to Suncorp, or in this case, going to New Zealand, where their home crowds are invested, they're loud, they can influence referees' decision, and there's also international travel involved. That being said, the Titans have won 3 of our last 4 against the Warriors. We almost made it 4 from 4, if not for the controversial send-off to Mweki Fotuaika. We could have been in that game as well. But in New Zealand, guys, unfortunately, we do struggle. We've only ever won 4 games at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart beforehand, at 31% of the time. So look, guys, this is where we're at. We've lost a few tight games. It's getting harder to keep turning up and falling short. The confidence starts to drop a little. We know New Zealand are good at home. We know we struggle at that venue. We have won 3 of our last 4 against the Warriors. Now, that could be a positive, but unfortunately, I think it's a negative because the chance they take us lightly, like they did the Dragons, reduces even further. Right? We've already shocked them 3 of the last 4, and they were shocked last week against the Dragons. So they will be coming into this one at 100% behind a huge day in Anzac Day, behind a whole country that is returning to Anzac Day sold-out venue for the first time in a decade. But we can use that to our advantage as well, because this is a real test, guys, of where we're at. And if we lose by 10 or 12, so be it. I still think the Warriors are a great team, so it is what it is. If we compete and so show some positive signs again, I'm not that upset. Look, that being said, we are still averaging 30 points per game. That's too much against a side like the Warriors that has CNK, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Sean Johnson, etc. So unfortunately, guys, I do think the Warriors will win this one, but I'm using this week as a chance to look for improvements and look for opportunities to prove ourselves against a side that I do consider contenders of some sort in this competition.
I'll give you a fun fact. I'll ask you, in their last 4 games on Anzac Day, how many points do you reckon they've conceded, the Warriors?
Oh, huge losses to the Storm. Storm have spanked them a few times. Let me say an average of 32.
They have given up 193 points in their last 4 games, including one game which was a 70-10 loss, mind you. So, yes, there is the factor of Anzac Day, but there is also the factor that, they've given up a lot of debt. That's an average of over 40, right?
48.5, dude.
Yeah, it's nearly 50. So, Anzac Day is not necessarily one that the Warriors do love, because even, as you said, like going back to 2016, they have never beaten, I don't believe they've beaten the Storm on Anzac Day.
Never. Well, not even come close for it. Oh, they came close one year with Patrick Herbert. That was it.
The last time the Warriors won on Anzac Day, again, we beat them in 2015. You go back to 2014, and they actually have beaten the Storm on Anzac Day. They have. Back in 2014, they beat them 16-10. On the 25th of April, 16-10 at Amy Park. So there's a fun fact for you. The Warriors beat the Storm. So 2014, so literally 10 years ago. Literally 10 years ago was the last time they won. So, look, I know that we're looking, and I'm looking more at like these kind of obscure stats, but I think that's because, you know, I'm not going, and I'll tell you guys this, again, I'll be, when this podcast comes out, I'll probably be on a plane to Auckland, right? But I'm not going over with the expectation to win this game. I'm just not. I'm not going over with the expectation to win. I will be tipping us to lose this game. But I'm going to go over there with the expectation that we give it everything that we've damn well got. We only lose by a small amount, and we really put in an effort. And then hopefully they prove me wrong, and hopefully they prove us all wrong, and they go and win this game. Because as someone said on Facebook today, actually, they said some of my best moments in life have actually been when we've won games that we were never meant to win, and that we never should have won. And I absolutely agree with that, because there has been so many games throughout the years, scattered throughout the years, where no one gives us a chance. Broncos game at Suncorp last year, and we won that game 18-12, even without Tino. There's even the Warriors game in New Zealand in 2022 when Tanner Boyd kicked the field goal. Overall, there's always just a moment where we just find our way. We just find a way to do it. So, look, I hope that's the case this week. We're going with a pretty much unchanged team. I really hope that Desi doesn't change Cleese Haas out onto the bench for Isaac Liu 13, like we saw this week. I just feel like Cleese has been one of our best players this year. I know he's not getting many points in our frontline finest, and I know he's not getting Dally M points, and probably not too many of the Paul Broughton points, but Cleese has been one of our best players this year. Defensively, he is so sound, man, and I really do like him playing in that team, and I want him starting, and I think that he's really going to develop into a really solid player, and I know that Cleese loves this club. Cleese and I'm probably nearly closest with Cleese in this team, and I love Cleese, and I don't understand why he doesn't start. So I know attacking-wise, you don't necessarily get a phenomenal amount with him, but defensively you have, and as a team collective, he really has enhanced a lot of what our team's been doing. I understand Isaac brings experience, but give Cleese time so that he can bring that experience eventually, and I think that he'll be an absolute baller of a player. So, again, not tipping us. I'm not going over with the expectation. I don't want to be sitting there thinking, I had all this belief and we lost. I don't want that, but I will go over there cheering loud, cheering proud, getting our fans up and at them. Actually, that was something I didn't answer your question before. I think we have about 40 to 50 people in general for Titans fans in our bay that I was speaking to membership about, who will be at a function. We forgot to mention that. There will be the function tonight for you guys, Wednesday night in Auckland. So if you haven't organise it yet, please call up membership, they'll get you in, but we do have a function tonight here in Auckland, and should be a good weekend, mate, but I'm not going with the expectations to win.
Yeah, that's it. We're both realistic about this game, guys. The Warriors are in a better situation than us, but as fans, we have a chance to watch our side hopefully show some more signs of improvements against more of a genuine side, you'd have to say, in the Warriors, so that is exciting. What else is exciting, rather, is the phone the frontline section, baby. Mm-hmm. Ring, 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 ring. So at this stage, we will
got a voice message from Slapper this week. That's the main thing.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. We're literally going to have to reclassify this section R18 plus if we ever got another one from him. But look, guys, we're going to go ahead and go through some of these. I reckon we'll go through 3 or 4 here today. So we will do that right now. Which one did you want to start with, Blaze?
I think let's start with the most recent one that we've actually received. We'll go with James Ransom Haverley here, who sent one in post this Manly game. So let's give it a listen now.
Hey guys, love your work. Just wanted to put a bit of a post of the Manly game. Thoughts on Aaron Schopp. Really think he should be looked at as an option. Seeing the game that him and Loffy played on an edge together a few weeks back when 40 points was put on them, and yet neither of them missed a tackle, each got a double. The more I'm watching, especially that edge get attacked in our games, the more I think it's could possibly be a good option to back Shoppy and Loffy on an edge together. And seeing how well they do in a centre that Loffy can defensively trust, where he's pushing up a bit more at the moment when he doesn't need to, and I think a lot of that's just a bit trying to overcompensate on his centre a bit. But would love your thoughts on how he's going, and at the end of the day, we back whatever Desi picks, and he knows a lot better than I or anyone else. So yeah, keep up the work.
Bingo. Desi does know more than what we know. He's won premierships before, so.
There is a method to his madness. But no, thank you very much for sending that one in, James. I suppose for me, you look at Shoppy's stats this year in the Queensland Cup. 56 tackles made, 11 missed, 83.6% efficiency. And most importantly as well, averaging 195 run meters, which we do need outside backs right now that can power that ball up, especially when Moeki Fotuaika's not making as many meters and Tino's not there, who's typically our biggest meter eater. So yeah, we do need outside backs. Man, I've been calling for Shoppy to come into this side for a while now. People forget he's still only 22 years old. Like, this isn't a dude who's like 30 and towards the end of his career and hasn't really kicked on. He's still young enough where like he could come in and still be an origin player in the future for all we know. So yeah, I think that both Brian Kelly, and he got a bit of a reprieve with scoring in his 150th and also kicking that goal. And then Harley Smith-Shields, realistically, since moving back into the centres, he's been strong as well. But they are both one poor game away where they miss a couple tackles or don't perform in attack to being swapped out for Aaron Schopp, in my opinion. Would you agree with that, Blaze? How close do you think Shoppy is?
I think he's really close, man. You know, it's at a point now where he's just come off the back. They've lost 38-12 to the Tweed Seagulls, and he's ran for 256 metres in this game. 256. That is over 100 more than the next best player in Jordan Penquit, with 12 runs for 147 metres. Should be 20 runs for 256 metres, 70 post-contact metres, a line break. And I think a lot of people, and 9 tackle breaks in that game. You know, I think that a lot of people don't remember that when he came from the Bulldogs, he was actually a defensive masterclass. This guy was actually signed by Justin Holbrook because he was a defensive-minded player that was going to get the job done and was going to provide us some extra spark, but also just be a lockdown defense. And that's what Dogs fans loved him for. The issue that Dogs fans didn't like him was because, obviously, he was on the centre next to Addo-Carr, and he wouldn't pass the ball to Josh Addo-Carr. And that was where their problems came from, and that's why they didn't necessarily mind losing him, because they are obsessed with Josh Addo-Carr. So Shoppy has come here, didn't have a great year at all last year, but now he's gone down into the Ipswich Jets. And I know Shoppy, man, I know that this has been an ego hit for him. I know it's been a tough one for him going down and not being in the NRL when he was in the NRL. But I think it's going to work him a whole deal of good, man. It's going to be a whole deal of good, as we've seen. You can't see an average of nearly 200 metres per game. You can't see the amount of tackle breaks he's having. You can't see that he only missed one tackle, right? He only missed one tackle. So Prime Shoppy might be coming back. It may be starting to come. So yeah, I think BK and Harley Smith-Shields definitely need to keep an eye over their shoulders. I don't necessarily believe that Harley had the greatest of games in this one against Manly. And BK still has a lot of work to do. I know he can be really, really good at times, and he can also have his bad moments as well. And I know he cares about this club, man. BK absolutely loves his club, and he's one of the guys that I know cares the most. But at the end of the day, his really good moments get overshadowed by some of his really poor kind of, I guess, brain fades, for lack of a better of a word. So yeah, these two guys, they've got Shoppy knocking on the door, and yeah, look, I wouldn't right this very second be disappointed if he was to come back into the team, Shoppy, for whichever one potentially made way.
And for what it's worth as well, because Shoppy does have that chip on his shoulder and play with a bit of ego, and that's what makes him a good player as well, right? That's not a bad thing. I think once he does make it back into our NRL squad, he's less likely to be dropped again this year. So maybe Desi's seeing that as well and just waiting. Like, let me make sure he's like
play under Desi at the Doggy. Well, he was in part of the development team and the youth teams. Yeah, when Desi was at the Dogs.
But that could be a thing as well, man, where Desi's going, I want this guy to show me he's 150% ready because I don't want to drop him once he's back. I know that we need that defense. So, and I guess to add one more point to this discussion, in the last 3 games the Jets have lost, they've conceded 106 points. In that time, Shoppy has only missed 3 tackles.
Hey, that's some New Zealand Warriors numbers on ANZAC Day. That's some New Zealand Warriors on ANZAC Day.
You know what's funny as well? When I gave that example earlier in the show, I said you could score 100, you could concede 100, but you should have won 106. And 106 shows itself again. That is some weird stuff. But no, really, really great question there, James. Hopefully we answered that one to the best of our ability. What one did you want to look at next, Blaze?
I think let's go with OJ.
Big fan of the show. My question is, where do you think our biggest problem lies? Where do we need to focus our attention within the club to improve our standings in the ladder, really?
That's a great question. I wish we knew.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question, OJ. That is also a really good one because whilst as Titans fans we want success now, Brian, we've also got one eye on the future. Like, hey, well, we need a plan for the future as well. And for me, I go straight to the spine. At the moment, we've got a lopsided spine in the salary cap where we have 3 quality fullbacks in Kinney, AJ, and Campbell. Realistically, and as much as this sucks to say, we need to shed probably 2 of those, and we need to start looking for a genuine 5/8 or a halfback. The reality of the situation is Kieran Foran isn't going to play on for more than 2 more years, you'd have to say. Maybe 1 more at best.
I'd say that at max with Foz, probably next year would be his last.
Yeah. And so when Foz goes, the question then becomes, who is our dominant half? Because Tanner's shown us he's not quite ready to get there yet, and we can't bank that 1 or 2 years is going to be enough for that. So we would need to go to market and either find a dominant halfback or 5/8, and then look at who suits them better. Is it Tommy Weaver or is it Tanner Boyd? Because we know both have a lot of talent there. As far as hooker's concerned, man, I still believe Chrissy Randall is a great option to start those games, and he defends like an absolute beast. But we do need a little bit more from the bench. The beauty of that is we've got Sammy Verrills, who's won a grand final before. He can get back to his best. And we also have your favourite, Oscar Bryant. I said Maxi Bryant in the past. Oscar Bryant, who is also a very good attacking hooker. So for me, man, I go to the spine. It sucks we have to shed possibly 2 of our fullbacks and only keep 1, whether that's AJ Campbell or Kinney. But the reality is we need to do that. And when Foran does decide he's had enough of his career and he hangs up the boots, we want to have the money spare from, let's say, for argument's sake, Jaden Campbell, Kinney, and Foran to go out and buy 1 really experienced half, or maybe even 2. So that's where I'll go with that one. Where would you go with OJ's question?
Well, I think that you're right. So, like, at the end of the day, like, your point about the halves specifically is absolutely the key one there. But I'll try and go somewhere else for the sake of the discussion, because otherwise it'd just be boring if I just repeat what you said.
Yeah.
I think that we've been known so long now for a team that can attack but can't defend. There's never been a time where we've been known as a defensive-minded club, and I think that comes down to the mindset that a club does have within its culture, where, you know, for so long, you know, you see these teams like the Melbourne Storm defensively, they just know how to hold out. The Panthers, they've got this defensive mindset. They've got all these teams around us. You can see it. Even the Broncos have got... Well, the Broncos are actually more similar to us than they are to that mindset, I would say. They're a bit more in the middle to where we are in regards to that, but... You know, there are teams out there that have this mindset that we're going to defend first and we're going to attack later, but when we attack, we're going to punch you in the mouth. And that's what the Panthers have done to win their last 3 premierships in a row and be in their last 4 grand finals. The Panthers just know how to just soak up pressure, and then bang you, and then you can't get out of the... and I meant that. They bang you, and you can't get out of the that your own 10 kind of deal. So... I just feel like the biggest focus that we need to have, and I'm not throwing anyone out here, I'm not saying anyone's name, but, you know, defensively we need to be better. We just need to be better. So I know it's a general kind of viewpoint. I know it's a really vague kind of point that I'm making, but it is a very pivotal point that we just need to fix the defense, because we can't be giving up 34 points and then complaining about a forward pass that was rightfully a forward pass. But again, we conceded 34 points. Actually, let's go back here. I'll just quickly read through our games this year in regards to points conceded. 28 to the Dragons, 32 to the Bulldogs, 30 to the Dolphins, 35 to the Cowboys, 21 to the Raiders, and 34 to Manly. That's unacceptable, man. I don't care what we scored. That's just simply unacceptable. So I don't care how it happens. I don't care how it gets fixed, but we need to fix our defense, and that's the most important thing that we need to do to fix our club.
So in my opinion, we tried to fix that with the signing of Isaac Liu, getting that experienced guy who's won a premiership to come in and build standards so that we don't lack off in areas. And Shuppy as well, that's correct.
Shuppy wasn't experienced, but Shuppy was known as a defensive player, yeah.
But I'm talking leaders that'll come in and kind of change the attitude of your group. James Tarmo at the Panthers, Dale Finucane, that's why the Sharks signed him. I'm sure there's other great examples. Maybe Cooper Cronk, not from a defensive standpoint, but someone that comes in and drives change. James Maloney. These are the players that come in and drive change and cultural changes. So when you say we need to work on our defense and be better at that, that's very obvious for all Titans fans, I suppose. But do you think we do that through a change in coaching staff? Or do you think we do it by bringing in a particular sort of player to the club to drive a standard?
Honestly, that's above my pay grade in regards to whether we bring in a different coaching staff. Because look, a defensive coach is Brett White, but Brett White has also been known to take like the Raiders and be successful with them. He's done stuff with New South Wales. He was a great player in his day. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not throwing him under the bus, and I'm not saying it's all his fault, because this has actually been a problem with our club for 17 years. So that's why I'm not just like, oh yeah, go and fire him, get rid of him, we'll go to the next person, right? I just don't know, because again, it's been a consensus with our club for 17 years. So look, maybe realistically, players should just. I think this is a player issue. I would go as far to say this is a player issue, because we've changed defensive mindsets and defensive coaches and different coaches all throughout our history, and it doesn't get better. I think it dead set just is. I think it is a player issue, this one, unfortunately. So look, we just need to do better in this regard. We just need to, I don't usually come at the players much. I don't usually come at the players at all. But I think that as a collective, not individuals, as a collective, we just need to do better. And I would say this is more of a player issue than a coaching issue right this very second.
And I mean, a final point on Brett White, our current defensive coach. He is currently the defensive coach for the Australian Kangaroos, who just won the World Cup, and the New South Wales Blues as of this year. And the Blues have started fresh, right? So they had their pick of the litter, and they went for Brett. So, and you look at our stats last week, dude. We missed 17 tackles to Manly's 23. We made 4 ineffective tackles. They made 14. So we missed less tackles, and we made less ineffective tackles. It was just the moments we slacked off. And that's something you can't coach. You can coach the defensive structure and how you need to tackle and when you need to wrap the ball, etc., when you need to slide, when you need to shoot out the line. But you can't coach when a player slacks off mentally for that 1 second and Tom Trbojevic is able to score 2 minutes before.
That's exactly what I was saying at the beginning during this podcast. I said, it's not that our defensive efficiency is actually so much improved. We are making huge tackles. We are making big defensive plays. But it is those individual lapses, just in those individual moments, that are messing us around. And I see Brett at the end of every game. I see how dejected he feels, because obviously he's the guy people look at for this. But I do believe that this is something that just right this very second, or across our club's history, is actually just a player mentality thing that needs to be rectified.
100%, a great question there, OJ. Sounds like we're both on the same page. We'll continue to show improvements, mostly in defense. Let's look for a key spine member if we can. And if we do, and when we talk about defense, rather, let's go for like an experienced player, like let's say a Dale Finucane was available right now. That's the sort of player we want to bring in post Isaac Liu and sort of try that again. Let's try to get the leader back in that's experienced at all, won premierships, played for his country, etc., and get them to drive that change that Brett White is effectively implementing. Our players just aren't accepting that for the full 80 minutes. Let's go one more, Blaze. Which one did you want to go through?
Yeah, just quickly, I don't think we're going to be able to sign Dale Finucane anytime soon. He obviously retired.
He was on my mind because of his retirement.
I know. So Dale Finucane retired, for anyone who doesn't know, the Sharkies and Storm legend.
Let's go from Brody?
Yeah, we'll go Brody.
Hey boys, I was wondering what we need to do as a club and as a team to really get Loffy back into the game and get him to make runs, line breaks, and score tries, because that's not been happening these past few weeks. Thank you.
All right, well,
thank you, Brody. Great question. You go first for this one, man.
Yeah, I think that we did see him score a couple of tries in his last game against Manly, which was really good. Loffy is a try-first winger, right? Like he's a literal cherry-on-top winger. He's not known for his defensive standards. He's not known for really a balanced game or his harsh runbacks or hard runbacks. He's known for scoring tries, and we did see him score a couple of tries in this game, which is great. Maybe not so much previously, but then again, he did score in the Rays game as well, twice again actually, because he scored the game tying try and the one to get us to the game tying try. So he is scoring tries. I think that the thing with Loffy, and I think this is what we're going to speak about rather than just an individual, like get him into the game, because it's not that he isn't into the game. He does have BK on the inside of him, and I don't know if they necessarily work together as a centre wing pairing necessarily, but I do think that in their own right they are both solid, very, very solid players. And We know that Loffy scored 20 tries last year, so he can absolutely crush it in the attack. I have no issues with Loffy's attack. At any stage, I've never had an issue with Loffy's attack, and I never will have an issue with Loffy's attack. The issue is, unfortunately, defensively, it's just not there. He is a very, very similar player to Greg Martiu, where he can attack and attack and attack and will absolutely shine. But the true fans and true watchers of rugby league and sport in general, most people when they watch football, they look at the strikers, they look at the right wing, the left wing, they look at the attacking midfielders. They don't care about the defensive midfielder. It's only the avid watchers that care about the guys like a Rodri from Manchester City, right? And there's only the actual avid watchers who care about the defenders and teams. And it's the same thing in rugby league where people only focus on the attack and they don't necessarily look at the defense unless you are a week-to-week, pure passionate watcher of the game. So that's why Loffy got dropped, in my personal opinion. I think it was because of his defensive situation. Now, I think that Loffy is a fantastic player, and I do think we are getting him into the game. I would disagree and say we are getting him into the game. You can't ask for much more than 2 tries per game in the last 2 weeks. 4 tries across the both games. So I don't think that's a problem. I just need to see, defensively, that's the side that the teams target. BK and Loffy.
So that's actually a great question by Brody. He sounded quite young in the clip, and I was expecting to be kind of the classic, what do we need to do to improve, that people always tend to ask with our club, and rightfully so. But that's a well thought out question. One thing to note that I can see that you can't because you've downloaded is he did send that in 1 week ago. So that would have been before Loffy scored another double. I probably should have said that beforehand. Sorry.
Yeah.
Look, for me, Brody, I'm going to go one simple one. I'll give you one simple change. Dave Fafita should be starting on that left edge. What Dave does is not only does he have an offload, not only does he have a long pass to Loffy, he attracts in defenders, right? And so when Dave's running at the halfback and the centre sees, oh God, I don't think my halfback's going to make that tackle, he commits to Dave as well. Now, Dave is still strong enough where he can get that offload to Brian Kelly. From there, BK gets the ball. The opposition winger must now come for Brian Kelly. Brian passes to Loffy. It's game over. We know Loffy is a brilliant finisher. But this year, because Dave did miss so much of our preseason with that pec injury, we're bringing him off the bench. So naturally, I think once Dave has his 80 minutes games fitness back, and match fitness, I do think we'll see him start on that left edge again. And that's when I believe we'll see Loffy get back to his very best footy, which has been good the last few weeks. But I agree with you, Brody. He can go to another level and get involved even more, which is exciting for us as Titans fans.
It's a good question, though. Good question.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant question. Absolutely love that. And if you want to get involved in this segment, you can send us a message, an audio message. You can leave your name or you can do so anonymously. The link to do that is in this show description on YouTube.
Or and Spotify also, and Apple. It's also in the description there as well.
Everywhere you are listening to this, it is all there. Please get involved with the show, guys, and leave us a message. It is one of the most fun parts of our podcast, which we now bring to a close, guys. But we do want to say thank you so much to everyone who has been here with us in this tough time where our club does sit 0-6. I saw a great message from yourself and the Titans fan club, mate. We're all feeling it. We're all in this together, and we're all one community. But I dead set do hope the Warriors come into this game a little bit wonky and we can hit them with the, not even, bro. No, but I'm only joking, players. But I do have a joke for you. What is the difference between a Warriors premiership and a unicorn?
You're just lucky that I don't read the rest of this before you say it.
Neither. They're both fictional. And I guess we don't have one either. But let's gloss over that fact. And I'll be honest with my fans. If my pun material was lacking this week, Google New Zealand jokes. There is a lot of crude stuff in there. A lot of offensive stuff. A lot of 18+ stuff. And just stuff that I'm not going to say on this podcast, particularly when my whole family is from New Zealand. And I'd be insulting myself as much as anything.
No, don't insult New Zealand, bro. Oh, no.
That is all from myself. Let's go Titans. Too much mana, too meek Māori. Chee-hoo! Over to you, Blaze, to say farewell to the show.
Hey, listen. I'm the one going to New Zealand this week, mate, so I'm actually probably more Kiwi. I'm more Māori than you are, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here. I will absolutely be getting myself some fish and chips this week, that's for sure. This is my first time ever in New Zealand, so I'm really looking forward to it. When this podcast is out, I'm actually there. So kia ora, bro, to everybody over there. I'll see you guys at the function tonight, and I'll see you guys at the game tomorrow on Thursday. And I went back to a Monday, so I've got a big old trip arena to the old Orcs. So looking forward to it. I'll be bungee jumping as well off the bridge in Auckland because Slapper, the guy that sent us in that voice message last week. He's forced me to do it. So I will be jumping off the bridge in the bungee jump, and I'm looking forward to it. But let's get it this week, boys. Let's fire up. Go the Titans. Slap them up. Shing!